we are going to be discussing how to run deep at the WSOP. It's poker time. It's poker season. Is anybody ready? Is anybody pumped? Is anybody hyped? It's time to go out there and try to win a bracelet. Try to claim glory. Win all the money. And I, today, in this webinar, I'm going to do everything I can to help set you up to have the best chance for success. The WSOP is an excellent time to take shots and move up in stakes, you may say. I thought you weren't supposed to take shots. Not true. You're certainly supposed to take shots in intelligent manners. Now, in intelligent manners, in an intelligent way. And you typically want to be taking shots when the games are going to be their softest. When are the games going to be their softest? When everybody's there looking to gamble. When players who normally don't play a particular buy-in decide to pony up and go out there and gamble for far too much money for them. That is when the games are going to be very soft, and that is exactly what the WSOP provides. Whenever the World Series happens, a lot of people, a lot of hometown heroes take their money out, everything they want over the course of a year in their local casino, let's say $5,000, and they go and they play a bunch of $1,000 tournaments and $1,500 tournaments, and that usually results in them being a bit overmatched against their opponents, playing with scared money, and that is exactly the time where you, if you are a good, strong poker player, should be looking to push the boundaries and move up. The fields are going to be big. The prize pools, potentially, can be life-changing. And if you make a deep run, everyone in the poker community will be paying attention to it, and they will know it. Welcome to everyone in the chat trickling in. If you're not watching live, that's okay. I see you as well. I'm happy that you all are here. To learn how to run deep in the WSOP, I'm going to teach you today some key exploits that you can use to crush weak players. Also, we'll be teaching you a few mindset tips to stay focused and run deep. And also, we will be discussing some bubble tips so that you do inevitably not find yourself folding to the point that you get in the money in exchange for making it close to impossible for yourself to actually win the tournament. Because you don't get a bracelet by getting a minimum cash. A lot of success. And to be fair, it's not bad, but it's also not exceptionally good. And we are going for exceptionally good results. The key to exploiting the weak opponents is to think ahead and set yourself up for success. You really want to focus on playing pots with your opponents who are going to make mistakes, especially from in position with reasonable ranges. You do not want to be playing lots of pots from out of position with wide ranges. That is a recipe to lose all your money. If you're at the WSOP or any tournament, and you see someone who's, let's say, splashing around, playing lots of pots, getting in there and gambling, many players drastically over-adjust. They think that, well, this player's clearly terrible, I'm going to try to play every pot with them. And you just can't do it. You cannot play the 7-3 suited and the King-8 offsuit whenever these players raise from early position, even if you are going to be in position, because those hands are terrible, right? You have to make sure you are playing reasonable ranges. You may say, but somebody else might get the player before me. Maybe. But fortunately, at the WSOP, there's a lot of them. You'll be all right. You really want to focus on playing big pots from in position, typically with you being the aggressor, unless, of course, your opponent is an absolute maniac. Let's take a look at a few examples. A spewy, loose, splashy player raises it up. We're playing 100 big blinds deep early in a $600 WSOP deep stack. What should we do here in the cutoff? Take a second, think about it. Have a sip of tea. Think clearly. What should we do in this spot? Okay, exploitatively. Against a spewy, loose player, you are going to want to 3-bet far more linearly, meaning you want to be 3-betting with your absolute best hands. This is a spot where if your opponent was playing good, strong ranges, and they would 4-bet you a lot, you may not want to put in the 3-bet. You may just want to call. Ace-Jack suited is a hand that really flops well and does not want to get 4-bet. But if your opponent's just not going to be 4-betting you all that often, then you're going to be in an excellent spot. Because usually you're going to get called, you're going to see the flop, and you're going to be able to go from there. So this is a spot where we are certainly going to want to 3-bet. And the size you're going to want to make it is perhaps a little bit bigger than you may be used to. Typically in this spot, maybe you want to make it something like 8,000. But again, someone who's going to call with all sorts of junk that you're going to be dominating, you instead want to be 3-betting a little bit bigger. So let's make it something like 10K. Opponent calls. Good. Flop comes. We make a flush draw. Opponent checks. Should we bet or should we check? Take a second. Think about it. You all like these interactive webinars? Let me know in the comment section. If you're enjoying today's show already, click the like and subscribe buttons down there. This is definitely a spot to bet. I don't think we want to bet too big in this spot, because if we bet too big, our opponent may just rip it in on us. And we do not actually want to get shoved on, because when we get shoved on, a lot of our edge in this pot goes away, right? Obviously, we're going to call, and we're going to be 40-something-ish% to win against a reasonable range. So we would much prefer to bet on the smaller side so that if we bet and the opponent raises, it will not be all in. So we do go for a small 5K bet into the 22K pot. I think this is great. If the opponent raises, it's going to be to 15K or 20K. We can call and we can go from there, which is good. It's exactly what we want to have happen. Obviously, we want him to call or fold. That's fine too. Opponent calls. We get it right there on the turn. That's lucky. Would you believe that sometimes when you go out to the World Series of Poker, you're going to make good hands? A lot of people say, oh, I go out and I play bigger and I get unlucky every time. Don't be a baby. Sometimes you're going to lose. That's what happens some portion of the time, especially in high variance tournaments. Sometimes variance smiles on you, though, and you make flushes and you run hot. But you want to make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Notice a lot of people in this pot would have just called pre-flop, and the pot would be substantially smaller. And that'd be bad, right? Instead, we end up playing this pot with a very good hand, and we're probably going to stack this guy if he has anything decent. All right. We'll bet medium, I think. We go 11. I might even bet a little bit bigger. Maybe like 14. You don't want to bet too big in this spot, though, because if you start betting like 25, your opponent's going to think you're obviously trying to get stacks in. And if they don't have anything good, they're just going to fold. But when we bet something like 11 or 14, less than half pot, a lot of people will look at that as a small bet. If it's a small bet, they can splash around, right? Opponent calls. There's a 2 of clubs. They check. Oh, they don't check. They lead. What? What a bad play by the opponent. All right. Look, this is a spot where I think shoving is the only good option. Maybe in some world we could raise non-all-in if we think, for whatever reason, our opponent really doesn't want to go broke. And some of these players will really not want to go broke. At the World Series of Poker, a lot of people go with the idea that they really just want to splash around, play some poker, and not have to go home. If this is early in the tournament and you could not re-enter, I would definitely not shove. I would actually make it 55K every time. Yeah, you give up a little bit of value, but you can get called way more often. You really don't want to shove and give this player the chance to fold a hand like Queen Jack if they have something like that, because they'll very often call a 55K raise, but not a Queen Jack. Who knows what we do in this spot? We do rip it in, which is, I think, standard, right? So in the spot, you really want to assess, is my opponent the type of player who will just call off and be happy with losing? Because some people will be. If this is in a re-entry tournament, definitely shove. But in a non-re-entry tournament, maybe, you don't want to rip it all in. You just want to put in a chunky raise and leave him with the uber fare, exactly. Leave him with 10K behind or 20K behind, something like that. Anyway, what's the opponent do? They call. Oh, Queen Jack. Terrible play. Notice in the spot, the opponent led the river with a very clear marginal made hand. And then they called it off with a very clear marginal made hand. What a blunder. This is the exact event you're playing, the $600 tournament. Awesome. Good luck. Has anyone in the chat ever won a ring or a bracelet? Justin Saliba's in the chat. Justin Saliba has 2 bracelets. Poker coach and coach. Absolute crusher. Here we have ace-king. Is the main event a freeze-out? It is. The Gladiator few. Cool. You have 2 10-day trips planned. Nice, Scott. It's a long time. All right. God's Big Toe took 2nd place for a ring last week. Bad beat. Well, not bad beat. You want a bunch of money. Good job. Congrats. All right. Low jack. Limps. Folds us on the button. 60 big blinds deep with ace-king. What should we do? Don't limp, I can tell you that. That's not a good play. You're playing event number 1. Get right in there. You're playing Super Senior. Excellent. All right, we're definitely going to raise. This is a spot where against a loose, splashy player, exploitatively, you should raise big. Some people are saying 3K. I hate 3K. I hate 3K. I think it's actually bad. Because your loose, flashy opponent's going to call far more than 3K only. Remember, everyone, we are trying to massively exploit the mistakes these players are making. So this is a spot where I'm going to make it big, like 6K, maybe 5K. Probably not much bigger than 6K, unless I'm very, very sure that the opponent is going to just never fold. Okay? So if you think the opponent's going to fold to 7K, then 6K is probably the right number. I think most of these loose flashy players are going to call 6K pretty much every time with their limping range. So I think something like that's pretty good. If maybe you thought they were on the tighter side, maybe 5K, but I'm never making it 4 or less. I think that is a big mistake. You're just going to leave a bunch of money on the table. Okay? You want to make the pot big. Fernando's playing the 1500 freeze out and can't wait. Good. We do make it 6. Opponent does call, of course. That's what they do. By the way, if you are playing in a tournament with a loose, flashy player and they are limping a lot, you always want to pay attention to if they are calling raises. And if they're calling raises just every time, and assuming some of the raises are of various sizes, they probably just don't care that much what size you make it. And if they don't care that much what size you make it, you definitely want to go on the bigger side with your premium hands. Get a good flop. They check. Make a, small to medium bet. We go 5K. 3rd pot. Seems reasonable. Opponent calls. You may ask, should we go bigger than only 5K? So at this point, notice if we go 5K on the flop, the opponent calls, there's going to be 25K in the pot with 41K behind in the opponent's stack. We will easily be able to get stacks in by the river. So we don't need to bet big in this spot. If we were much deeper stacked, perhaps we could go a little bit bigger. But I think 5K is nice because a lot of players are just going to call 5K with any hand. Because, hey, it's only 5K. How can they possibly fold? Then they're going to call, and sometimes they're going to get themselves in trouble. 3 of hearts on the turn. Straight's available. If you're a decent cash game player, would it be worth it for you to splash around in $300 and $500 tournaments? If $300 and $500 buy-ins are not that much to you, and you want to take a shot and gamble, feel free. If that's a bunch of money for you, then maybe not. Could we bet even smaller than 5K? I don't think you need to go any smaller than 5K at that point on the flop. All right, we're going to bet 15. You may ask, why 15? 15 may actually be a touch big. I think I would prefer more like 11 here. I think 11 would be slightly better. Maybe 12. My concern with 15 is that when we go 15, the opponent may just start folding out junky 1-pair hands. Like if they have pocket 9s, maybe they just get chicken and fold because notice they only have 41K left. If we were the effective stack with 49K, then I do think we need to go slightly bigger so that we can make a not so gigantic river bet. But given they are the effective stack here, I think we can go a touch smaller against this player. Okay, anyway, we bet. Opponent calls. River's a 3. They check. How much do we bet? Opponent has 26K. Pot's 54. Or do we just check it back? Are we scared at this point? I'm not scared. I'm very happy in this scenario. Easy all in. Sometimes you lose. Such is life. They're trapping with a set. Be careful. This is the exact thought process you do not want to have, because a lot of people don't trap their sets, and also sets are very unlikely. It is far more likely the opponent has some one pair hand than a set. We are not worried about being beat ever in this pot. If at any point in this pot the opponent wants to put their money in, we're not folding top pair, top kicker with a shallow stack. Okay? Especially against a very loose, splashy player. Do not be afraid of the monsters under the bed. They're cute, furry little things if they can fit under the bed. You'll be okay. Sometimes you lose. Most of the time you lose. We are trying to get a big chip stack and win the poker tournament. We're not trying to blind out and squeak in the money. Making a pair is hard enough. Don't be scared of a set. It's true. Anyway, easy all in here. Trivially easy all in here. Better question would be, what rivers are we not shoving? Take a second, think about that. What rivers are we not going to shove on? I can think of only 4. I think any 4 we probably don't want to shove. I think any other river is good enough. I think any other river besides a 4 is good enough. This is a spot where the 2 does complete the 4 straight, but realize they really shouldn't have a whole lot of 4s, right? On the flop. Are they going to check call the flop with a whole lot of 4s? Definitely no. So I don't think we're really worried about a 2. What about 7? Well, they're going to have a whole lot of 4s, not so much, right? What about the 4, though? They will have a lot of 7s here. They will have 8-7, 7-6, pocket 7s, ace-7 suited, right? So I think we can probably shove this river, given we are somewhat short-stacked on every river besides a 4. And I think that's going to be fine. Notice, the opponent only has half pot left, right? So it's not like we're making a big bet. When the bet you're making is very small, I think you can go for value pretty thinly. Some people may say that in a World Series event, maybe you don't want to go for such thin value on the river because it's only a small edge on the bad rivers and you want to be going for big edges. But you got to realize this is a pretty big edge even on a non-4 river, I think. I do get the 7 and 2 feel a little dicey, but I think it'll be fine. Obviously we shove here. Opponent calls. King 10 offsuit. What a disaster. Opponent should have raised this pre-flop. We would have 3-bet pre-flop. They would have folded, and they would have moved on with their life. Or if they do even limp this hand and get raised, they should probably just fold it because you're going to be super dominated. What a disaster for the opponent. They played this hand poorly, and we stack them. Exploit the weak players. Take advantage of the mistakes they make, and a lot of the players in the WSOP events are going to be loose and splashy. And you crush loose and splashy players by going for value. You do not crush them by checking with good hands. You crush them by going for value. Let's discuss some mindset tips. These tips are not for people who just want to have fun playing cards, have some drinks, play for a bit, bust out, and then move on with their lives. These are tips for crushers, or people who want to become crushers. Number 1, have a short memory. You may say, what? Have a short memory? Don't you need to have a good memory? You know it's helpful. But realize that you are going to run poorly sometimes. You're going to make mistakes sometimes. You're going to get bluffed sometimes. Whatever, etc., etc., etc. No problem. Move on to the next hand with a good, strong mindset. One of my most lucky skills that I have is that I can get absolutely pooped on at the poker table, go home, go to sleep, wake up, and be perfectly ready to play the next day. I do not care what happened in any individual hand, in any individual session. It does not deter me from showing back up and ready to play my best. Whenever I'm playing poker, same thing. Yeah, and the nice thing about tournaments is that usually if you take 3 or 4 bad beats in a row, you're out. You can get up and leave. So there's really no excuse for playing on tilt. If you go on tilt, you have some sort of mindset issue that makes you think you're supposed to act immaturely when things go poorly, or maybe when things go well. You got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of whatever entitlement, issues you have, whatever. Look, people have all sorts of issues. I'm not going to pretend to know the answer to all of your issues. But if you get mad when you play poker, you do not have the mindset of a champion. You can get competitive. You can get the desire to crush your opponents. But you have to realize at the end of the day, you are dealt 2 cards, and you have to make the best decision possible in this hand. That is how you win at poker. You do not win at poker by trying to run over your opponents, or by trying to get even, or by trying to win all the pots in the next hour, or anything like that. Get all this nonsense out of your head. You get dealt 2 cards. It's your job to play them as well as possible. Then you get dealt 2 cards again, and it's your job to play them as well as possible. Then you get dealt 2 cards. Then you have to play them as well as possible again. And you do that over and over and over and over and over. That's what you're supposed to do at poker. Period. Get all the other nonsense out of your head. Next, tip number 2, limit distractions and stay present. Pay attention. Put your phone down. Put it in your backpack away from you. If you know that you grab your phone whenever you're not in a hand, put it away. Don't even take it with you if that's what is required. Whenever you're playing, make sure you are paying attention. Pay attention to the action. Pay attention to the showdowns. Pay attention to the weird stuff your opponents do, because that is going to inform you about the exploits you need to make to take advantage of them. And you want to stay focused. If you're like watching TV or reading a book or looking around the room or chatting with your friends and goofing off, you're going to lose a bit of an edge. Now you may say, I'm going out to the World Series because I want to have a good time. I like having fun. You have to realize that winning at poker is a whole lot of fun, but also you can have a good, positive table presence while at the same time treating the game seriously. You don't have to be super duper stoic all the time and mean and rude to people and don't like not talking to people and wearing your sunglasses and your hoodie and all that. You don't have to do that. It's okay to be friendly. It's okay to be nice, but it's also very important that you pay attention to maximize your ROI. Next, accept variance. Variance happens. Sometimes you're going to win and sometimes you're going to lose. A lot of people think they're going to save up all year, then go play 1 or 2 World Series events, and they're going to win the bracelet. And you may, but you probably won't. And that's okay. Don't tilt, don't play poorly. Enjoy the swings. And play each hand well. Let's discuss how to crush the bubble at the World Series of Poker. To run deep in any tournament, you have to play the middle stages well, and you especially have to play the bubble well. So who really benefits on the bubble? Who really benefits on the bubble? What chip stack do you really want to have on the bubble? Well, to be fair, what chip stack you always want to have? Obviously the big stack. Having a big stack, especially on the bubble, allows you to push around the players who are trying to chip up. Let's talk about a hypothetical spot here. Let's say we are 20 players off of the money in a tournament where, let's say, 100 people get in the money. It's a 1,000-person tournament or an 800-person tournament, whatever. We have 50 big blinds. We can easily fold into the money in cash. We have 50 big blinds. We're going to get in the money if we just sit here and be tight. In this scenario, say we're in a spot where loose, splashy, badly player who has us covered raises with the ace-jack suited with our jacks. If we really want to get in the money, we can just call, right? Call, see the flop, try to not go broke. But that would be a mistake. It would actually be a blunder because you know your jacks are going to be in fine enough shape against your opponent. Now, obviously, you don't know they have ace-jack suited, but they're going to have all sorts of stuff. And if your opponent is a loose, splashy, battling player, if you 3-bet, they're going to 4-bet you sometimes, or they're going to call sometimes. You're going to see the flop, and you're going to go from there in a medium or big pot kind of near the bubble. It's important to realize if 100 people get in the money and there's 120 left, you're nearing the bubble. This is the exact time you want to gamble a bit more than normal. It's not even gambling, to be fair. It's not like we're punting our money in. This is the time where you want to be risk on, right? You want to be trying to get a hold of a big stack. So in this scenario, they raise, you 3-bet, they rip it all in your face for 50 big blinds. In this spot, Imagine we knew we had 64% equity. 64.66% equity, apparently. In this spot, would you call it off nearing the bubble? Should you call it off nearing the bubble? Well, 1/3 of the time you're out. No cash. 2/3 of the time, you have 100 big blinds on the bubble. And that 100 big blinds on the bubble is actually going to be worth far more than 100 big blinds in this scenario, because you're going to be able to run your opponents over on the bubble. A lot of players are scared to take that all-in spot with the pocket jacks here, or ace-king, or ace-queen suited, or pocket tens, etc., etc. A lot of people are afraid to get it in with good hands nearing the bubble in exchange for cashing far more often. So many players love to get a cash. You've ever played a World Series event and got in the money? You know what happens? You know what happens? Everybody claps. Yay! They celebrate because they got 1.5 times their money back. They're also happy. And they're happy because they think that they just won. And they did win a little bit, but a lot of them, in exchange for getting that little win, completely crush their chances of winning the tournament. You want to be the one who is happy to take 120th place, no cash, in exchange for getting a giant chip stack. This sounds ICM backwards. You got to realize this is one of the most profitable spots you can be in with a big stack nearing the bubble. If you can give yourself the opportunity to get a hold of a lot of chips and push your opponents around in exchange for sitting there and blinding out and getting in the money with 30 big blinds, you should be taking it. This is how crushers get a hold of a lot of chips, and then they use that pile of chips to push around everyone for the rest of the tournament. Nearing the end of a tournament, you really want to have a big stack. I cannot make this any more clear. You do not win tournaments by sneaking in the money and then trying to win 17 flips from there. It's hard to win 17 flips in a row. It's not so hard to push people around when you have 100 big blinds and they have 30. Okay? Also, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying to get it in here with pocket twos or ace four suited, right? I'm not saying to 3-bet those hands and then call it off. That would be ridiculous, right? We're trying to get our chips in scenarios that are obviously profitable for us. You don't want to be calling it off in roughly 50-50 spots. Okay? You want to be extracting value. Notice in this spot, if we knew we had 64% equity, we're thrilled. Even in an ICM world, okay? Okay. You have to get in there and you have to battle. So let's discuss exploiting weak players on the bubble. Many times, even the chip leader at your table is just happy to be there. You may say, really? They're not going to be trying to push me around? No, they're not. They're instead going to be, trying to win some pots. They've read in some book that they think they're supposed to raise a little bit wide and push people around. But if it becomes clear to them that you may want to actually play for a lot of money, they're just going to get out of the way every time. These players are not going to be taking advantage of the incredibly profitable opportunity staring them right in the face. Instead, they'll give you a middle stack, perhaps, the chance to push around people on the bubble. I've seen this happen time and time again. I've done it to people time and time again, where nearing the bubble, maybe we are both co-chip leaders at the table. That's a spot where it is very important to try to take the obvious chip lead. You want to be aggressive against your other big stacked opponent. Not for all your money, but in small and medium pots to hopefully get a few more chips than them. And a lot of these players, they will automatically think, okay, I'm not the chip leader anymore. Now I need to chill out and stop raising so many hands, giving you the chip lead. And quite often you can put yourself in a spot where you can steal this chip lead, and then you get to run over your opponents. Let's take a look at a couple examples. Ace 10 offsuit, 45 big blind player, minimum raises. 15 off the money, and a $1,500 milli maker. Look, folding's the obvious answer if you want to get in the money. We have another weak chip leader here. Perhaps this player's trying to push him around too. This is a spot where I am going to fold most of the time, but if you think this player is just going to raise too wide and then not defend it well, put in the 3-bet. Do not rip it all in Do not rip it all in, unless, of course, your opponent's going to shove it in your face a ton. Look, we're playing chess where you have to think 2 moves ahead. You want to ask, what is my opponent likely to do if I re-raise? Are they going to rip it in? If they're going to rip it in, well, don't re-raise because that would be terrible, right? You don't want to rip it in because that's far too many big blinds in this scenario. So our only options are fold or 3-bet, not all in. So you have to ask, which is going to work better against this opponent? Well, we opted 3-bet. We go 55K. You do want to give yourself some pre-flop fold equity. A lot of people make it 45K in this spot. I think that's a blunder. You're never going to get a fold pre-flop then. Opponent does call. 9-3-2. We have 22 big blinds left. What do we do? Well, take a second. Think ahead about how your opponent's going to proceed against various aggression. Various types of aggression, right? Are they going to jam if you bet small? Or are they going to fold if they don't have anything? This is a board where obviously they're not going to have anything a lot of the time. I think this is a very good spot to bet small and go from there. We do bet small. You may say, are they ever going to fold for 30K? If they're sitting here with king high, queen high, jack high, 10 high, 8 high, some ace highs, they're just going to fold. Bet small. They just let it go. We move on with our life. And notice after this hand, we go up to almost, well, 350K or so. And hopefully, we'll be able to push this player around in the future, especially given we have this weak chip leader over here, not giving anyone any trouble. So this player here is the chip leader, but they're just sitting here. They're literally just sitting here. This player is probably trying to act as the chip leader. Let's not let them. So here, we're not the chip leader, not by a mile, but we can manufacture a fake chip lead in the spot, especially if everyone else is just hanging out trying to get in the money, as will very, very often happen. And yeah, we do risk losing some chips here. Okay? We are risking losing some chips in this spot. If we get jammed on, we're obviously going to fold. And we're going to lose. And we're going to be 20 big blinds on the bubble. That's when you just kind of tighten up and get in the money. But right here, we have a decent chance to get a hold of some chips, and that's going to allow us to further push around the bubble, especially given the weak chip leader is not going to do anything about us running over the table. Now, you may ask, how do I know if the chip leader is weak? If they're playing no hands, if they're not 3-betting, if they're not continuation betting a lot, if they're just doing a lot of playing tightly, then they're probably not going to do too much against you. Now, say we do get a hold of some chips next. We raise, and this chip leader, who we know is playing pretty weakly, 3-bets us. This is a spot where it's obviously good for the big stack to 3-bet us, but I would venture to say, on average, most people are just not getting out of line. Fine. Fold, lose your 2 big blinds, and move on with your life, assuming you raise with a weak hand. Okay? Let's take a look at another one. Ace-5 offsuit, 45 big blinds deep. Is the main event coming up? I'm definitely playing the main events. I'll be playing day 1D. Say hi if you see me. All right, Ace-5 offsuit. We have this weak chip leader on the button here. This is a spot where normally, in any sort of reasonable bubble scenario, you cannot play the Ace-5 offsuit at all. It would be a disaster because you're going to get called or 3-bet by the button a ton. And to be fair, as the button, with a big stack, if this player with 45 big blinds opens too wide, and you know they're opening too wide, they're sitting there, they're raising far too many hands pre-flop in the scenario, you should be 3-betting them a lot. Now, if they're going to shove on you a lot, you should be calling a lot, right? Again, try to think ahead about how they're likely to proceed and do whatever works out best for you. So, in this spot, though, if the chip leader is going to be weak, it's almost like they're not there. Now, they are there because they're going to get random cards, and sometimes those random cards are good. But they're not going to be playing relentlessly at us. So, if we were the chip leader here, imagine stacks were 45, 25, 25, 15, 20. We would definitely open this on the bubble. In this tournament, maybe there's, 3,000 people. So that means 450 get paid. Maybe we're down to like 465 people. This is a great spot to raise really wide, especially with an ace blocker on the bubble. If you studied at pokercoaching.com, we discussed this thoroughly. In spots where there are big payout implications, hands with ace-x go way, or hands with an ace, like ace-x, it's ace-x, what am I saying? Ace-5, gosh, can't talk today. Hands like this ace-5 go way up in value in terms of bluffing potential because you make it harder for your opponents with 20 big blinds to have a shove because there's one fewer ace in the deck and most hands that want to shove have an ace. So this is an excellent hand to raise that a lot of people just trivially fold. Look at their ace-5, put it in the muck, because this hand is normally not playable at all. But in this spot, it absolutely is, because we are the fake chip leader on the bubble because the big stack is just trying to sneak in the money. They really want to be able to clap and collect that cash. Big blind calls. They're going to call kind of wide here, even with a shallow stack. Jack 10-4. They check. Do we bet or do we just give up? In this situation, what's the smallest 3-bet jam you would call? With ace-5 offsuit? 6 big blinds? 7 big blinds? Not a lot. Ace-5's terrible. So, in bubble scenarios, as a broad piece of logic, the big stack wants to bet very frequently using small bets. You'll see this if you run the solver adjusting for payout implications, because the short stack really does not want to go broke. They really want to hang out and not lose all their money. So, we're going to bet frequently and small. We do go 1.5 big blinds. They do so little check raising. Yeah, a lot of people don't check raise here. Also, they're going to shove us a lot of the time, which is fine. We don't care. You'd bet 24K, 2 big blinds, 22K. Smaller. I'm telling you, the adjustment in GTO, ICM adjusted scenarios is for the big stack to bet very frequently and tiny. Tiny. Not half pot. Half pot is not tiny. Tiny is like 1 big blind or 1.5 big blinds, okay? They just fold. Good. We move on with our life. Nothing fancy here. Oh my God, I just lost my monitor. It's back now. Weird. Could you imagine if I just lost my monitor in the middle of the stream? Why in the world did that happen? There's always something. So yeah. Now I'm scared. Okay. While we're here talking about how to play with the chip lead, also, if somebody raises and you're in the big blind and you call as the chip leader, you should actually be doing a lot of leading. A lot of leading for small amounts on boards that are exceptionally good for your range and exceptionally bad for your opponent's range. We discuss leading a ton in the tournament masterclass at pokercoaching.com, and you take spots like 7-6-4, where you normally want to have a leading range, and you want to be leading far more often using a small size. You want to be nudging tiny bits of money into the pot as the chip leader in situations where there are big payout implications, because you cannot go broke and your opponent can go broke, and they really do not want to go broke when folding is highly profitable. You have to realize when there are payout implications, like on the bubble, folding makes a lot of money, because by folding, you get closer to getting in the money. So now, if a play would normally be, let's say, barely profitable if there are no payout implications, now it's losing because folding makes more money, right? You always want to pick the play that makes the most money. And if folding wins, let's say, $100 and calling a bet wins $80, you'd much rather fold and get in the money. And by making your opponents have to play for all of their money, you make folding a profitable and quite often the most profitable decision for them, which is very valuable. So as the big stack, nudge money into the pot. So that is it for these 3 tips. I have something exciting lined up for you after this. Let's recap them real quick. We have exploit the weak players. Focus on playing big pots in position with a strong range. That is the easiest way to crush loose, splashy players. Play good cards in position, and you will smash them. It is not difficult. Next, have a stronger mindset than your opponents. Don't go on tilt for all sorts of nonsensical reasons. You'd have a short memory and forget the bad things that happen. Don't worry about them. Let them go. Next, limit distractions and stay present. Leave the phone at home. Also, accept the variance. Realize, like that Jacks versus Ace-Jack scenario, a third of the time, you're going home. You're losing. You got to be cool with playing all day, getting on the bubble, getting it in with the Jacks, and then losing. I actually had one really bad year at the World Series of Poker where I made it 8 hours into the tournament almost every day, and then I would lose. I would get it in with like Ace-King and just lose every day. And it was frustrating. But I knew in exchange for, well, losing some portion of the time and not getting many cashes or any cashes, I'm going to get a whole lot of chips some portion of the time. I'm going to be set up to get a big stack on the bubble and crush my opponents. Sometimes it's going to happen a lot. Sometimes it's not going to happen much at all. You don't get to pick when you run hot, except the variance. Next, take over on the bubble. If you find yourself on the bubble in a World Series of Poker tournament, take risk, go for the chip lead, and then take over and crush your opponents. And one of my favorite spots, it was a $10,000 six-handed tournament. We were down to, let's say 48 players or something like that. And let's say 44 got in the money or something silly. In that scenario, me and one other player had a lot of chips on our table. Everybody else was medium stacked. There's a hand where someone raised. I called with ace-10 suited, I believe. Somebody folded. This other big stack, I had slightly more chips than them, 3-bet to like a third of his stack in the big blind. Fold, back around to me. I had ace-10 suited. Normally probably just to fold, let it go. But I knew in that spot, he was trying to steal the chip lead a large portion of the time so that he could then bully the table. So I ripped it in his face for like 50 big blinds. Must have gone like raise, call. Small blind calls. He makes it like 14 out of 55 or something. Gets back around to him. He looks so annoyed. He folds. Now, I have the chip lead by a decent chunk. I got to run over the table. I got in the money with about 3 times average. Didn't help me. I didn't win. I got in with aces against ace-5 suited and lost. I remember that one. That was rough. I think I took 12th place. Such is life. But again, I'm sitting here getting in with aces against ace-5 suited for a load of chips. We have a good chance to win the tournament. We didn't win the tournament. Such is life. You know how it goes. And that's what you want to be doing. I say I have a short memory and I forget these things. I remember that one. I felt like I got punched in the face. Whatever. I get the aces. I lose to the ace-5 suited. I got punched in the face. Pack it up, leave, go home, try again the next day. Over and over and over and over and over. Right now, because the WSOP is right around the corner, we are having a WSOP prep sale at pokercoaching.com. You can save over $1,000 on a poker coaching premium membership. If you're thinking about playing the WSOP, now is the time to prepare. You're running out of time. But fortunately, we have a lot of content set up to give you the absolute best chance for success. We have my tournament masterclass. If you've never seen it, it's about 40 hours long, 180 lessons. Poker Coaching Premium members have complete access to this tournament masterclass. If you play tournaments and have not gone through this course, this is where you need to start. This will teach you how to play all of the common spots you will inevitably encounter. It'll teach you how to play good, strong, fundamentally sound poker, and then how to adjust to take advantage of your opponent's mistakes and all sorts of common spots. From there, if you join Poker Coaching Premium right now, you can get access to our brand new course, Crush the WSOP. It'll teach you how to completely level up your tournament game in 30 days. In this prep course, you're going to learn everything you need to know to crush the WSOP. We discussed just a few things today, a few good actionable tips. But this will teach you all sorts of stuff you need to know. Our coaches will take you through pre-flop, post-flop, ICM, how to make sure you run deep, and a whole lot more. One of the large parts of this course is the How to Run Deep in a Large Field Tournament series by Aram Zobian. Aram finished 6th place at the WSOP in 2018 for $1.8 million. He's made a whole lot of other deep runs in large field events. He actually just crushed a bunch of high-stakes players in the Poker Go studio recently. And in this course, he teaches you how to run deep in large field tournaments with a heavy focus on exploitative play, navigating different stages of the tournaments, and consistently performing at a high level. He's going to go through lots of hands that he played during his deep run where he took 6th place for $1.8 million, as well as a recent deep run he had in a very, very large online tournament. So make sure you check that out. I also just made this series, How to Win Poker Tournaments, where we go through a bunch of hands from the Poker Go Tour 2022 Championship. This was a winner-take-all tournament featuring many of the best players in the world. 21 of the best players got invited to play this Tournament of Champions, let's say, and a $500,000 winner-take-all free roll. We go through hands featuring a lot of the best players, including Jason Koon, Stephen Chidwick, Sean Winter, and a whole lot more. And we really get to see how these players focus on getting a hold of a lot of chips, because in this tournament, they had to get all the chips. There were no payout implications, and they were battling to win, which to some extent is what you need to be doing, especially when you have a medium or a big stack. To further help you crush tournaments, we have a series featuring Rampage Poker, some of your favorite video blogger, some of your least favorite video blogger. He's been coached by one of our poker coaching coaches, Brock Wilson, for a while now, and you'll get to see a lot of private coaching sessions where these two players discuss strategies that have resulted in Rampage absolutely rampaging his opponents for the last few months. They go through a lot of hands, including some of Rampage's biggest wins, best bluffs, biggest punts, and everything in between. We also have a series by Brock Wilson. He is like a robot. He discusses crushing high-stakes poker. I learned a ton in this, where he discusses various scenarios, going through lots of GTO simulations, discussing all the common spots. And he also adjusts the solver to show how you should be playing exploitatively against various mistakes that your opponents are likely to make. I learned a ton in this one, and I'm very sure you will too. We also have over 700 classes featuring many of the best players in the world. We have over 1,900 interactive quizzes. Will these tips apply to the World Series circuit? Absolutely. If you like the hands we went through today, the interactive quizzes are very similar. We only went through 4 hands today. We have over 1,900 on pokercoaching.com. And if you sign up today, I have some bonuses for you. Bonus number 1. If you sign up to Poker Coaching Premium and the WSOP prep sale, you will get free access to our advanced tournament course. Should I spoil everything that's in it for you? No. You're going to have to go to the site and check it out. Go to pokercoaching.com/WSOP prep sale. We gave away everything we know in this course. It's amazing. Make sure you go through the tournament masterclass first. That's kind of a prerequisite. But from there, you're going to learn how the crushers crush. Bonus number 2. You'll be getting if you sign up for the WSOP sale. I coached a small group of students twice a month for 5 years. And they let me record everything. We did over 240 hours of coaching together. These videos are not for sale, but if you join Poker Coaching Premium right now, you'll get free access to these 240 hours of private coaching sessions with students. And I'm sure if you go through this, you will find some students who you really resonate with. And you think, wow, they think like I think. And I'm going to go through and pinpoint all of their flaws so that they get a whole lot better. And so that, well, you get a whole lot better. We have one more bonus. We're going to give you a free year subscription to Poker Go if you sign up for 6 months or more of Poker Coaching Premium. Watching the content on Poker Go, especially the high stakes final tables, is a great way to improve your tournament skills because you get to get into the minds of some of the absolute best players in the world playing for high stakes. So you get the Poker Go as well. You get all these included. Here's what you're going to be getting. I'm not going to read through all of it. As you can see, it's a giant list here. But very important for all of you, you get the new course on crushing the WSOP. Also, the new series, How to Win Poker Tournaments. Lots of quizzes, lots of pre-flop charts. We didn't talk about those. We have pre-flop charts for all the common scenarios before the flop and also when there are payout implications at the final table. Right there in the website. Make sure you check it out. We have an app so you can use that and study that away from the table. We have a 30-day challenge if you really want to get yourself up to speed quickly. We have the tournament masterclass and the advanced tournament course to teach you everything you need to know. It is all there for you. You can check it out at pokercoaching.com/WSOP sale. And right now we're giving you a big discount. Normally it's $147 a month. You can get the first month for $67. And if you want to sign up for a year, if you really want to commit to learning over the next year, we'll give you $1,000 off, because why not? I know some people say, what if I don't like it? Well, that's fine. You're backed by my no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee. So you don't really have to decide now. You can just decide, well, just say maybe. Try Poker Coaching Premium, completely risk-free for 30 days. If at any time during the next 30 days you don't think it's right for you. If you don't think it'll help you, at least double your investment. Because I want to make money when you make money. Let us know by sending an email to support@pokercoaching.com within 30 days of your purchase, and we will give you a full refund. If I do not help you improve your poker skills substantially, I do not want or deserve your money. Simple as that. So, if you want to take your skills to the next level, head over to pokercoaching.com/WSOP sale right now. I'm sure you're going to learn a ton. And you're going to enjoy it too. I seriously have been working hard for the last, 6 or 8 years now to make the poker training site I wish I had when I first started really trying to take the game seriously. And also the site that I wish existed today. I have made the exact thing that I, Jonathan Little, high stakes poker player, wants to consistently stay at the top of the game. And I am taking all of it and sharing it with you. No matter where you are in your poker journey, I'm very confident you will learn a ton from pokercoaching.com. What if you play cash games? Do you have any cash content? Oh boy. Yes, we have an entire cash game masterclass. Something like 50 or 60 hours long. We're actually in the process of working on an advanced cash game course that we'll be putting out towards the end of the year. And we have a ton of cash game content. So make sure you check that out. I know we've been focusing on tournaments today because the WSOP is right around the corner, but we have a ton of cash game content too. That's all there too. Just included. Everything's included. That's it. It's the best I can do. If you don't like it, I don't even want your money. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn a ton. Thank you very much for being here today. If you've enjoyed today's show, click the like and subscribe button before you pack it up. Good luck. Have fun. If you see any of the poker coaching coaches at the WSOP, make sure you say hi. If you see me, definitely make sure you say hi. We're going to be having a breakfast for poker coaching members during the main event, so make sure you check that out. And that's that. Thank you for being here. Good luck. Have fun. Make the most of your opportunity, and I hope you run hot and win a bracelet. I'll talk to all of you next time.